we are talking about universities disrupted, the disruption of university and university education as we know it. And it's a very timely and important topic because indeed that is what is happening. Over the years, we have seen the influence of educational technology on education, where it has been employed for deeper learning, better understanding of concepts, to extend educational opportunity, like in the case of distance learning, to those who are not typically served. In more recent years, we have seen the impact of open education resources, open content, open technology, on again making educational opportunities and educational resources much more extensively accessible. Today, we are at a place where this confluence of open technology, open content, open resources, and educational technology is really making profound changes to education, to the landscape of education. Who learns, how we learn, what we learn, where we learn, and many of the assumptions that we have had about all these dimensions of educational production and delivery are challenged. Similarly, many of the structural arrangements that we have taken for granted, say between the individual, the institution, and knowledge, say between access, cost, and quality, are also challenged. And this is why we believe that university education, as we have known it, is really being subject to disruptive change. What are some of these kinds of challenges or disruptions that we see? When we talk about open education, for instance, and the combination of networks and open education, it certainly has challenged the assumptions that we've had about the scarcity of education resources, be it teachers, be it educational materials, be it content. And because suddenly we see that there is just enormous, there's an abundance of these resources that are extensively available. I point to the example of open education resources like OpenCourseware, as reflected by OpenCourseware, through other kinds of open content initiatives. And we see that, or to the kinds of online courses that and course offerings that are available through things like edX, the massive open online platform. And we see now that there's just a dramatic abundance of educational opportunity and resources available, which challenges our notions of scarcity. Similarly, we talk about structural relationships being upended, or existing structural relationships changing. We see that it is no longer, education is no longer just an interaction between an instructor and students, or instructor and learners. Suddenly in the game, we have an ecosystem of contributors. On the production side of education resources, there are educational institutions, there are publishers, and most importantly, in the production and delivery side, you have the very enhanced role of the community, so the agency of the community. So suddenly it's not just an instructor and learner's experience, it is an instructor and learner's experience that is mediated by communities who supplement the instruction that is going on, communities who act as resources. So it's almost like a bilateral arrangement has now become a trilateral arrangement. And that's the kind of structural displacement. And this has implications. This has implications for how you can suddenly scale quality. And perhaps one of the most disruptive aspects of university education that we have to look at is the role that communities of learners have in making sure that you can take quality, which was quality instruction, quality education, which was hitherto limited to being available at a place in a confine, suddenly being available much more widely and much more extensively.